Good afternoon, Chamber members. For those of you I have not met, I'm Janelle Chouanier, President and CEO of the Greater Fairbanks Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to take a moment, as we do each week, to thank our executive partners, whose logos you saw on the screen before we began our program today. These businesses provide the foundation that makes our work possible here at the Fairbanks Chamber. They also provide support to the Chamber by sharing knowledge and experience that helps shape our advocacy efforts and create awareness that drives economic strength for interior Alaska. You can see our executive partners on the screen, and the full list can be found on our website. So first up today, I'd like to welcome Katie online to help us recognize our new and renewing members. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you very much, Janelle, and welcome community and chamber members who are viewing with us today. Thank you for joining us. We want to welcome our newest members. We have two of them this past week, the Alaska Army National Guard. The Alaska Army National Guard focuses on community and leadership, being ready to respond to disasters and support their home community, state, and country. And the Library Bar Invites. They are a cocktail lounge serving shareable plates and weekly specials. They have an extensive wine list as well as craft cocktails, both classic and modern. Welcome, both of you, to the Chamber. We're so happy to have you. Thank you to our renewing executive partner, Lockheed Martin Corporation. We appreciate you being part of the strong support that helps us advocate for interior Alaska. Thank you to the following renewing members: Arbor Capital Management, Inc., Fairbanks Community Food Bank, H&R Block, Jeff Cook, Jolly Roger, Inc., The Pen Guy Promotional Branding Products, and Scott Kawasaki. Thank you for renewing your membership. And a big thank you to our members who joined our 110% Club this past week. And those are Brentag Pacific, Equipment Source Inc., Kaizen Associates Inc., RNN Consultants Inc., and Silver Gulch Brewing and Bottling. These members contribute above and beyond their membership dues to help us with our advocacy actions. Thank you all for your continued support of the Fairbanks Chamber, and back to you, Janelle.
All righty, thanks, Katie. So now we will do a combined President and CEO and board report, since Angie wasn't able to be with us today. I wanted to thank everyone who attended our discussion last week with Governor Dunleavy about Alaska's fiscal situation and the governor's specific budget proposals. We appreciated the governor making time to meet with our members, and we had a couple of great questions from chamber members who were in attendance. We look forward to continuing the budget discussion as Alaska's legislature moves towards passage of the FY22 state budget. Next, in case you haven't heard, we are preparing to dream Golden Dreams this July to celebrate the long-time tradition of Golden Days. Tickets for the rubber ducky race are officially on sale now. All of our board of directors have tickets to sell, so I'm sure they'd be happy to hook you up. Or you can buy them at a number of locations around town, including Sunrise Bagel and Espresso or the chamber office downtown. There has never been a better time to get your chance at $10,000 cash or a pair of round-trip tickets on Alaska Airlines. All of us are ready to get back out and traveling again, so we would love to hook you up with that opportunity. And finally, do you know of a COVID-19 vaccination event happening in the Greater Fairbanks area? This message is for you. The Fairbanks Chamber received a grant to encourage and thank community members for getting vaccinated. So please encourage your vaccination provider or the host site to request those gift cards from the Fairbanks Chamber to thank your participants for helping us all get back to business. You can find both request forms, the form to host your own pop-up clinic or to request those gift cards, on the COVID-19 page on our website. It's one of the easy to find links right across the top of the homepage. All right, so now to turn to our main presentation. Golden Valley Electric Association has powered the interior for 75 years. We are happy to have President and CEO of GVEA, John Burns, with us today to celebrate those 75 years of hard work in our community and to share what the future has in store for them. So John has served as GVEA's president and CEO since May of 2020, a role he filled following 4 years as GVEA's vice president and general counsel and 4 years as GVEA's corporate counsel. John is a lifelong Alaskan and earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Alaska Fairbanks, where he played collegiate hockey. He earned his Juris Doctorate from the University of Puget Sound. And prior to joining GVEA, John was in private practice for more than 30 years and served as Alaska's Attorney General in Governor Parnell's administration. As president and CEO, John works with GVEA's board and 270 employees to deliver safe, reliable power at fair and reasonable prices to all interior residents. That sounds like an important job. Thank you, John, for joining us today.
Janelle, thank you for the introduction. Jackie and Katie, appreciate the invite to share a little bit about Golden Valley. We'll be focusing today on the past, the present, and more, I think more importantly, really the future of Golden Valley. So Katie, if you don't mind serving as Vanna White for this presentation, I'd appreciate it. Put it up on the slide. This year marks Golden Valley's 75th year. We were founded in 1946, and it's been 75 very fast years. So, Katie, if you can advance, appreciate it. Or Jackie. Jackie, advance to the next slide, please. So this is a picture of 6 of our original incorporators. So these individuals were truly visionaries. You know, they understood the need for electricity and how transformative electricity would be to interior Alaska, both empowering businesses, the opportunity for growth in interior Alaska. So in 1946, they filed an application, and that was the beginning. Jackie? From the very beginning, and this is Golden Valley was formed on these cooperative principles. There are 7 principles that are the bedrock of Golden Valley's existence. And you know, we are a not-for-profit, community-owned cooperative, and we are truly what we call your cooperative. We're your electric company. The cooperative principles reflect concern for a community, democratic member control, the fact that we are, member economic participation. We're your cooperative. And unlike a for-profit organization, to the extent that we make profit, it's in the form of margins, and those margins are returned to the members on a continuing 25-year rotation basis. Jackie, next. So here's a little bit about where we have been, our past. So we'll start with the past, and then, as I said, progress really fairly rapidly into the future. It all started, GVEA first started purchasing power from the FE power plant when we were incorporated in 1946, and then in 1952, we ended up purchasing the power plant. It was a 9.5 megawatt power plant, and it readily served the needs for our members at that time. With this next slide, you can see how far we progressed. Jackie, moving. So this is where we are today. This is our generation. This is Golden Valley's generation. So we have nine plants in 4 different community locations, and a total of about 381 megawatts of combined capacity. In addition, though, to these are our own generation units. In addition to these, we purchase energy from a variety of sources, including the university, Alaska Environmental Power, the Aurora plant on the banks of the Chena, and also up the Alaska Intertie from South Central Utilities. What you can see is from this slide is we have an incredibly diverse generation portfolio. It is the most diverse in all of Alaska. And Gary Newman did a very informative presentation earlier this morning to FEDCO, which we will put on our website, that talks about the history of electricity in interior Alaska. And I don't remember specifically what Gary's quote was, but ours is probably the most diverse generation mix of most any utility, with the exception of, I think, somewhere in Hawaii. But you can just see the variety. With it, though, comes the challenges that we'll talk about, because our generation really has been built over many, many years, and we're facing legacy decisions on what to do with the aging fleet and the fact that many of them are not emission efficient. So, Jackie, next slide. Over the 75 years, you can see this slide kind of very much illustrates the transformation of Golden Valley. We started in 1946 with 101 members. Today, it's over 36,000. The number of employees, our first employee was hired in August 5, 1948, and I think it was $1.75 an hour was the wage scale. It was an accountant. Today, we are 282 employees. That was as of 2020, and it remains the same today. Throughout that, though, Jackie, if you could forward to the next, throughout this 75 years, the one constant is the fact that our mission has essentially remained the same. Our mission is to safely provide our member owners with reliable electricity at fair and reasonable prices. So that mission is founded on three core principles. And those principles are as follows. The first is safety, the safety of our employees and the safety of our members. And that is a non-negotiable principle. Safety absolutely comes first. The second is that we are mission focused, meaning that we want to make sure that we are effectively and efficiently fulfilling our mission. And our employees are focused on doing just that. And the third is the fact that we need to be fiscally responsible. And I say that because we're not for-profit member-owned cooperative. We're your cooperative, which means that it's not our money. Okay, it's your money. And so what that means is that we have to be very mindful of how we spend that money. And I can assure you that our employees are very much focused on not just that one, but all three of those primary, those what we call core principles. So that's where we're at. As part of that, actually, if you can advance to the next one, as part of that, we have to be innovative in how we approach things and to embrace opportunities. And we have been a leader on the rail belt throughout this whole process. In fact, throughout the last 75 years. This slide really illustrates that fact. You can see that there are three pictures here. In the top left is our BESS, what we call our battery energy storage system. When it was first built in 2003, it was the world's largest battery. Right? It provides today 25 megawatts for sustained 15 minutes and up to 40 megawatts for obviously less time. But this is an example of evolving technology. Today this battery is dwarfed by batteries throughout the nation, even a battery that Homer has just recently put in. So it's just kind of a reflection of how technology has changed. It's also 18 years old, and so it is facing some significant upgrades, and that's one of the decisions that have to be made. Do we upgrade the existing batteries, or do we put in an entirely different battery system that takes advantage of new technology? The middle slide is our solar farm. When we first built that in 2018, it was the largest in the state, very quickly eclipsed, but it serves a half a megawatt. And so it's a kind of another reflection of leadership. The third is our what we call the Eva Creek Wind Farm, has a capacity of 25 megawatts. It today remains the largest wind farm in the state of Alaska. We have a pads up there for I think another four units if we so desire, and it's a matter of kind of figuring out cost and operational effectiveness. These are examples of leadership, but those are examples of the past. Okay, if you look at this next slide, this really this illustrates the fact that we cannot rest on laurels. The electric industry of today, as you can see from the few previous slides, is not the electric industry of yesterday, and more importantly, it will not be the electric industry of tomorrow. Technology is transforming at an unbelievable clip, and GVEA has got to be out there evaluating, embracing technologies that make sense for our utility. So the way we do it, Jackie, next slide if you would, is we've got to focus on service and connection to our members. Here's a slide of Solarized Fairbanks, representative of Solarized Fairbanks, and they are, in combination with Golden Valley, working to expand our SNAP and SNAP Plus programs. And currently, right now, I think we have 476 members on our SNAP and SNAP Plus, and it's growing exponentially. I can't tell you the number of new applicants that were submitted for this year, but it's a very large number. And so, those are opportunities that are presenting themselves, and we are with Solarized Fairbanks, embracing those opportunities. We also, have also got to be looking at other opportunities to serve our members, and we've done through what's called the outage management system and Text Power that's just coming online now. The outage management system allows Golden Valley to know probably before you do. If you're at work, we will know before you do whether or not your power is out at your residence. Okay? It's a program that allows us to very effectively and immediately know where power outages occur, so that we can dispatch crews to repair or to identify and repair the issues. And oftentimes, when we've gotten a number of comments from members that say, I didn't even realize power is out. You guys, are awesome in the way you respond to it. But that's an example of technology. No longer do you have to leave your backlight on so that our crews know whether or not your power has been restored. Another is energy conservation and demand response. These are software tools that allow you as the member owner to understand your usage. And so with the advent of AMI, the advanced meter infrastructure, these are opportunities that we can provide you as members to better understand and control your power consumption. Another is on-bill financing. Golden Valley's board has sanctioned a pilot program to evaluate the opportunities for on-bill financing, which is low interest loans to assist members in environmentally friendly and renewable projects for their home and businesses. So we're evaluating that, and hopefully we will have that program implemented in the not too distant future. So it's staff is focused on that. So these are some examples of how Golden Valley, through technology, is trying to provide more opportunity and control and the ability for our members to influence how they use energy. Looking at the next slide, Jackie. So here are the strategic directives that the board recently set in 2020. The slide is somewhat misleading because it numbers 1 through 11. There's no priority in how these were numbered. They are 11 strategic directives that the board felt were imperative to the future of Golden Valley. The full directive, list of directives and what's involved in those directives is on the website, and the information is below. So I would urge you to all take the time, if you're interested, reach out, get on our website and look at what's involved in those. These are truly, these are some very audacious, a couple of them are very audacious legacy decisions. So one in particular that we're dealing with is the generation portfolio. How do we optimize generation in the future so that we can meet the needs of not just today in the short term, but the long term? What's ironic, though, is that the board just did a survey of a member survey, not probably within the last 6 months. And the survey came back very much split on the issue of renewables. Literally 50% of the respondents reported that they were dissatisfied with Golden Valley's lack of emphasis on renewables, whereas an equal 50% were dissatisfied that they thought we were too focused on renewables. So you can see what the challenge is just from the fact that we have a fairly fragmented membership. But the thing to emphasize is that the board, even though they are elected from various districts, each board member has an obligation to focus on what is in the best interest of Golden Valley and its members as a whole. So it doesn't matter whether a person comes to the board feeling that more focus needs to be on environmental or less focus, that sort of thing. So in the end, whatever the decisions are, have got to be in the best interest of Golden Valley as a whole. So the way we're taxing our employees tremendously, and that's something I need to be very mindful of, because the landscape is changing, exponentially. And as we started this, the electric industry of today is not going to be the electric industry of tomorrow. And so our employees not only have to generate and dispatch and maintain what we have today, but as you can see in these strategic directives, they have to also be focused on tomorrow. And a great example of that is this next slide. This is John Kelly. He is, our gas turbine plant manager. I'm very proud to say he's a hometown boy, lifelong Fairbanksan. And so here's his story. So Jackie, if you can cue up a quick video, it would be great.
Hi, my name is John Kelly, and I'm the gas turbine plant manager for Golden Valley Electric. I've worked here for 15 years, and for the past 10, I've been directly responsible for all of GVEA's local gas turbine generating fleet, and I love my job. Being tasked with the strategic directive, I'm leading a group of individuals internally to analyze our current generating assets and make the decisions on what we need to do into the future. This process has greatly changed my perspective from what are my plants doing to what are our plants doing. Reliability, cost, carbon reduction are all things that we need to take into consideration to make these legacy decisions that will keep us viable for the next 75 years.
So John is a very unassuming individual, but I can tell you that he and his team are working with our consultants in evaluating basically everything. Nothing is off the table. And from that perspective, I mean, that we have been looking at, we've had presentations on micro reactors, on nuclear reactor through NuScale. We've had numerous presentations and conversations with the Alaska Gas Line. On renewable projects, we're just looking at all sorts of issues, because the question of generation will literally determine the future of Golden Valley, as well as the future of interior Alaska. I was at the FedCo's presentation this morning, and for all of us who have lived in interior Alaska for a long time, we know how important low-cost energy is to the viability, the economic viability of interior. And that for Golden Valley, that's always been the challenge. We can control the utility component of it, which is the cost of doing business, the interest rates and depreciation, that the efforts associated with the operation. What we can't control, and that has been so frustrating, is what we call the COPA, the cost of power adjustment. And you can see from the diverse mix that we have, you change any one of the variables, for example, the price of fuel, and we've seen, the price of fuel, how it vacillates in the last year. Those changes directly affect the cost on the bottom line to you. It's a straight pass through. The cost of power for us to generate or to purchase is a direct pass through to members. There's no markup, but it is frustrating for Golden Valley staff in management and the board, and it certainly is frustrating for our members. We pay it as well, and so we're always looking at ways to influence. If we can't control it, at least we can hopefully influence it. And it's the type of agreements that we enter into, the opportunities that we have with partnering with other businesses and opportunities going into the future. So, we're doing this. We talked about, engagement with members, but our focus also has to be on innovation and emerging technologies. I talked to you, somewhat on microreactors, and a lot of things. You have to evaluate everything, but you have to evaluate it in the rubric of, does it make sense? Both on reliability, cost, and overall long-term implications. So we're evaluating all of those things. Other examples are electric vehicles. The future, if all the data is indicating that electric vehicles are here, they're here to stay, and they're quickly increasing in demand, as well as reliability and technology. So Golden Valley has got to get in front of that. We're already behind it. The entire rail belt is a little bit behind it, but I am pleased to say that we have, as the rail belt, filed jointly a petition with the RCA as far as how electric vehicles will be charged, the rates, the demand rate as relates to electric vehicles. Golden Valley has also partnered with an entity in Cantwell to put in an EV charger, and we are also going to be installing an EV charger, 2 EV chargers, as a matter of fact, here on our Fairbanks campus. And the expectation is that we will expand that out and work with local businesses, trying to incentivize some opportunities to expand EV chargers. Also, as I alluded to earlier, we did an RFI, request for information, on renewable projects. And man, I got to tell you, the turnout, the responses were over and above what we had anticipated. We had 7 responses with 8 proposals, very innovative, many of them very ingenious. It ran the gamut from pumped hydro to wind to solar to biomass to battery, and any combination of those. And so we're in the process of evaluating those, figuring out how we can integrate them into our system. And, that process is evolving. We hope to have that evaluation completed by July 31st, at which time we will start reaching out to the entities and expanding, getting the data to really figure out how do we start integrating some of this stuff. And finally, it's as I said previously, it's all about leveraging technology, the advanced meter infrastructure that we just fully deployed. We're going through what we call final acceptance testing on it. Is providing us unbelievable cache of data from the standpoint that we can use this data as opportunities to figure out how we can optimize voltage within our system, so that we can modify the peak on some of our on demand, and just unbelievable opportunities that come with that data, and all of which will help us to be more efficient and cost effective in how we serve our members. Next slide, please. And the final slide is that we've got to focus on opportunities, and one of those opportunities was through SB 123 and what is currently the Electric Reliability Organization process. The utilities the utilities have been, to a certain extent, our worst enemy, so to speak, in that we have not really focused on a rail belt concentric approach to electric service. We've been very focused on our local areas, and it's important to be focused on our local areas. For those of us who've been here, we know what 60 below is. If you don't have electricity, that's a life or death situation. So we've very much been focused on providing to our immediate needs. The ERO process, though, will allow us to work in tandem with non-utility owners and participants, independent power producers, and others to evaluate, what's in the best interest of the entire rail belt. How can we serve members on the entire rail belt to ensure that renewables have an equal opportunity for access, so that you have the interconnection when you're tying into the transmission system, that it doesn't matter whether you're tying in Homer or Anchorage or Fairbanks, the interconnection protocols are essentially the same. We still will always focus on reliability, okay, because the reliability is critical. It doesn't matter if you can get it cheap if you can't get it. And so that's one of the things that we were absolutely heavily focused on. And then under the current administration, this infrastructure bill is providing a lot of speculation, but also a lot of opportunities. We have missed a tremendous number of opportunities as a state in the past. I don't care whether you look at Susitna, Montana, some of the other dam projects, but certainly, upscaling the Alaska Intertie. The Alaska Intertie is a 138 kV line. It really should have been built at the time for 230. So not just to look at the needs then, but also the needs of the future. Because if, to upscale that would allow us to bring a lot more energy up from South Central, which means that, in theory, we can get cheaper power into the interior. And honestly, if we can purchase cheaper, then we have no business generating it. Okay, because the bottom line as we started this are three core principles. One of which is it's not our money, and so these are opportunities that we're evaluating. The other is the road belt, and I would urge I'm sure the chamber has and Fedco to get behind this road belt opportunity. We have Golden Valley supported it. Passed a resolution. The funding is, another mechanism, a different issue, but I'm hopeful that with the infrastructure bill, that will provide an opportunity for funding. And the benefit of a road belt is the road belt intertie that would link, come up, link Tok and basically connect into Fairbanks. We have 4 military bases in our service district. Okay, we've got Greeley, Eielson, Fort Wainwright, and Clear. Having redundancy and reliability to for those facilities is huge. So the Department of Energy is also focused on that. Just tremendous opportunities to look at just what's in the best interest of the interior as well as a whole. And I've had opportunities, and just recently I was down in Anchorage on Thursday, meeting with the CEOs of the other rail belt utilities, as well as with the Alaska Energy Authority, talking about what's basically rail belt strategy as a whole, because to the extent that we can all benefit one another, we need to be looking at that. And so I can tell you that it's those dialogues have been very, very rewarding, because people we're looking at how we can ensure that members throughout the rail belt are benefit from it. So the future, I can tell you that the future is very bright, is very challenging, unbelievable opportunities, and I'm very proud to say that your employees, the employees of your co-op and your board, are very much focused on the future. We've had a great 75 years. It's been a great run, right? But if we are to continue into the future, we have got to be open-minded, and we have got to ensure that we are, effectively evaluating those opportunities. And I can also assure you that every opportunity will be evaluated from the standpoint of what is in the best interest of our members as a whole. So that's in a quick nutshell. I apologize, Janelle, if I spoke longer than time allotted, but that in a nutshell is your cooperative. It's your electric company. We're very mindful of the fact that, we play a significant role in the economy of Fairbanks and in the surrounding areas. So with that, let me open it up to any questions that the membership might have.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, John, for that presentation. So what kind of occurred to me as we're sort of waiting for folks online to decide what their questions are, I noticed that we have people online from a variety of different companies, different industries, and many of them, so I know I've heard much of what you presented today, for example, when you talk with our Energy, Environment, and Natural Resources Committee, but many of the folks online have not had a chance maybe to hear this before. So is there anything that you would say to those folks who maybe aren't as in touch with what GVEA has going on? Is there anything you wish people knew about GVEA that you'd want to highlight?
Great question. I guess the thing I'd like to emphasize is that the decisions that Golden Valley has to make, really have to be focused on what's in the best interest of our members at large. Okay, the whole membership. And so it may seem that Golden Valley is very slow on the uptake and embracing renewables, notwithstanding that you can see that one slide that we've been very, very proactive. We've got a carbon reduction pledge, which was, which for us at the time was very audacious. The reduction of 26% by 2030, as Brian Rogers' group with the Alaska Center for Energy and Power have indicated, there's no silver bullet. We cannot get there without radical changes in generation. That's not to say that we shouldn't, and that ultimately, it's a thing to focus on. But we have to evaluate how everything works, and how we can get there without bankrupting our utility and negatively impacting either reliability or rates. But I will tell you that the companies that we've been talking to, Fort Knox is an example. They're very mindful of emission issues. So it's not just about cost. We had a meeting with Fort Knox not long ago, and they emphasized that the emissions are critical issue for them as well. So it's certainly something we were looking at.
And I promise that wasn't a setup, because I know that we have some folks from Kinross Fort Knox who are online today. So okay. That's great that you mentioned that partnership. Yeah. So one thing that you did mention was, and I'm probably going to get the terminology wrong, but that the power intertie that connects us with the southern part of the state for power was not really built for the capacity needs of the future. So it made me wonder, how much effort does GVEA end up putting into addressing or updating resources that were put in place in a different time with different capacity needs for our region, and versus how much time you spend planning for the next step or what's the next big advancement?
Well, we can't do it alone. And so those are the reasons for the dialogues with Alaska Energy Authority. They're the ones who own and through the Intertie Management Committee manage the Alaska Intertie. But it's certainly something to be evaluated, okay? Because, and I'll get Alex up very quickly in real, I guess, very technical terms. But the long and the short of it is that, unless we, we just can't turn off. People have said, okay, just turn off the Healy plants. You can't do that without affecting what we call transient stability. Okay, the transient instability of the lines, and gets really technical. So So without upsizing the line, okay, from 138 to 230, we're constrained on what we can bring up the intertie. Okay, so all of these, it's like the game whack-a-mole. All right, you bang one. If those of you who've got kids, you bang one, peg, and another one pops up, and so it's all of those issues that have to be evaluated. It is not as simple as saying, go right or go left, or turn right, left, or there's implications for all of this. But we have to do it, and we have to be talking through that with others, because it's about, I think it was about a $400 and something million upgrade. But over time, if you amortize that over a 40-year life of the transmission line, all right, it pays off. Plus, if you can limit or reduce the line loss, which is roughly about 4.5%. That's money that's evaporating. We're paying for that electricity, that energy that we are not getting into the interior. They're great questions,
We try. So it doesn't look like there's a lot of questions online. I think you kind of answered a lot of people's questions with your presentation, but I guess I'm curious if there's anything that you are particularly excited about for the next steps for GVEA. I mean, I know you kind of went through, there was a lot going on, obviously, but is there anything that's particularly has you excited?
My sense of it is there are a couple of things. The first is the ERO, this Electric Reliability Organization. I'm hopeful that it will prove in a positive way transformative for the rail belt. Having an integrated resource planning that's focused on the rail belt as a whole, so that we don't have generation units that are built in one area that don't serve others, or that might not need to be built if we could ensure that we can gain access to the energy in other areas. Many on the rail belt, and again, there's no consensus, but some on the rail belt believe that many of the utilities have overbuilt generation. Others think differently, but having an electric reliability organization that is focused on the rail belt as a whole, what's in the best interest of the rail belt, will be hugely beneficial. And the other is that really looking at opportunities through collaboration and partnerships, and working very closely with our federal and state delegations to take advantage of opportunities that I think will again, not to overuse a word, but transformative for interior Alaska. If we can get the road belt, if we can energize the road belt, we can open up with low cost energy, then we can open up interior Alaska. And it starts with energy. Energy provides opportunity for resource extraction, which then we can then expand on. But you can't do it without low cost energy, and much of the interior does not have. Well, listen, Janelle, I really appreciate the opportunity. And I want to emphasize to everyone, and hopefully everybody is aware of the fact that we are your cooperative. We are owned and operated by our members. And so it's, want to hear from you. We have a very receptive board. They're interested to hear, what the membership has to say. So thank you for the time.
Great. Well, yeah. And thanks for bringing that information forward. Because like I said, I know I get to hear it more frequently than a lot of folks because of our committees, but we appreciate you coming to keep us updated.
No, appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Sure. All right. So thanks again to John for sharing this update with our membership. And thank you to everyone who tuned in online today. We appreciate you showing an interest in the future of our community by staying informed on current issues here with us on Tuesdays at noon. We hope to see you all on YouTube next week, where we will continue our discussion of diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Thank you, Fairbanks, and we will see you next week.
you.